How's it going, everyone? This is Adam from Slurv, Ship My Money on DraftKings, and I'll be breaking down today's pitching slate for you for July 1st. Tonight's a pretty interesting slate in that a lot of the high price pitchers aren't really that good from a fantasy standpoint, so it's a pretty interesting slate to try and figure out what pitchers you want to use. So I'll go through my cash plays on both sites and then go to my GPP options. On DraftKings, there's really three pitchers that I'm interested in for cash. The first is Nathan Eovaldi at 5,400. He's been terrible recently, but he gets a matchup with the Padres in Petco, and I think he'll be able to overcome, his rough month. And at 5,400, he's basically free. So even if he doesn't have a great game, he's probably not gonna, really hurt you, and he's gonna be really popular. So in cash, I don't think there's anything wrong with playing him. Moving up a little bit, Mike Fiers at 6,900 against the White Sox, I think, is in play. He pitches much better at home, and he's at home today. The White Sox struggle with right-handed pitching. They have a 21% strikeout rate, 87 WRC plus for the season. And I think Fiers, he lacks some strikeout upside, but I think it's a pretty safe matchup for him, and, would expect him to get you somewhere between, 15 and 20 points in this matchup. And then I like Steven Wright at 10,100. I think he's my favorite of the higher priced pitchers today, just because he's going to throw so many pitches. I mean, he threw 98 pitches last start, and that was the first time he hasn't gone over 100 pitches since May 13th. So I think that since there's not really any strikeouts to pay up for on this slate, and guys like Cueto, and Cueto's 12,100, Tehran's almost 12,000. I think Wright is a much better price at 10,100 because he'll most likely go deep in the game, get a handful of strikeouts, probably give up a run or two, and he'll, I think he'll get between 20, 25 points, which on most slates wouldn't be great at that price, but on this slate I just don't know where else you can go for 20 to 25 points that isn't paying $12,000. So that's what I like on this slate. On FanDuel, I think for me it's between Bud Norris at 6,800 and Fulmer at 8,400. Strongly leaning toward Norris. I really think that since he started throwing his cutter, he's a much better pitcher, and I expect a lot of the results he's had over the last month to hold as long as he keeps throwing the cutter the way he has been. Kind of similar to the way that Schumacher's numbers completely changed as soon as he started throwing his changeup and splitter more. And I don't love Fulmer today, but his price is pretty cheap on FanDuel at 8,400. So if you're not on board with Bud Norris, then I think Fulmer's my second favorite option going against a Tampa team that strikes out 25% of the time. The issue with Fulmer is that he does not strike out lefties, and Tampa's lineup now is different than it has been for a lot of the season, and they normally have a good amount of lefties in that lineup, so I think it really lowers the strikeout upside of Fulmer, and I definitely prefer Norris, but I think Fulmer is an option. For GPPs on DraftKings, Nate Eovaldi at 5,400, he's going to be really, really popular, but I'm fine just owning more of owning him at a higher percentage than the field will. I think this is a matchup where he gets things turned around. And like I said, on this slate, there's not a lot of opportunity cost at pitcher, and he's just unlikely to really hurt you at that price. Steven Wright, again, at 10,100. He doesn't have the highest upside in the world since he doesn't get a ton of strikeouts, but I just don't think anyone's going to get a ton of strikeouts today. So I, again, don't mind just trying to lock in 25 points from him. Kevin Gausman at 7,800, I think is a really interesting tournament play. He's on the road in Safeco, so his fly balls are less likely to be home runs than they are in Camden Yards. And he gets a left-handed heavy lineup in Seattle, and he has struck out 25% of lefties so far this season. He does give up a lot of hard contact, which is really scary since the Mariners don't strike out a lot and they have a lot of power-hitting lefties. So that's why I'm kind of on the fence about Gausman, but at 7,800, he definitely does have upside, although it does come with a lot of risk. Jacob deGrom at 10,300, I think is a really, really good tournament play today. I think I probably actually prefer him over Wright for GPPs just because he does have more strikeout upside, and he's priced the same, and I just don't think he'll be that highly owned against the Cubs, who obviously hit really, really well, but they do strike out, and it's a spot where if the weather is okay, I think deGrom could easily be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. So I like him in tournaments. On FanDuel, it's Bud Norris and DeGrom for me. Norris at 6,800, I think is in a really good spot. The only thing I'm worried about with Norris is that he was traded a day or two ago and is flying across the country, and it's a different routine for him. But I just really really like his matchup with the Rockies. Since he stopped throwing his changeup to lefties and started throwing his cutter at the beginning of June, which is when he started getting really good results. Since the beginning of June, he has the 16th highest whiff per swing percentage in the major leagues, and is getting 13% swinging strikes against lefties. So I think that it's probably pretty sustainable that he's good, at least until the league figures him out again, which I don't expect to be in this game, since he's just completely changed the way he pitches. And DeGrom, like I said, at 10,000, it's a matchup where I think he's going to be under-owned, and he's priced too low for his talent level. So I think that he's a good GPP play today, even though he's got a risky matchup with the Cubs. So that's what I'm thinking for right now on pitchers. As always, stop into the Slurve chat throughout the day, and we have our expert chat today at 4:30 Eastern, so definitely stop in for that. Good luck today, guys.